Hello Art Center friends. Welcome to today's birthday. Our June birthday artist is Antoni Gaudi. His birthday was actually the 25th of June, 1852. He is an artist. He was born in Catalonia, Spain. He also was an architect. So what is an architect, you say? An architect is someone who plans, designs, and oversees the construction of buildings. So his buildings were pretty incredible. They're one-of-a-kind buildings. They don't look like anything we've seen today or even back then. They're beautiful and very artistic. He rarely drew up his designs though. Usually architects, they make drawings and plans and measurements. He didn't do that. He did lots of things or lots of buildings with models. And so he didn't have a lot of drawings of his buildings. He was influenced to do this by things in his life that he loved. And those things were nature and architecture and religion. And that is what earned him the nickname of God's architect. So his crafts or his work included different kinds of things too, like ceramics and wrought iron working and carpentry and things like that. So different kinds of things that you wouldn't think might be in buildings. His very famous building, and I believe they're still working on it today, is called Sagrada Familia. It is in Barcelona, Spain. It's beautiful and huge and very famous. So it's the most visited thing in Spain, the most visited monument in Spain today. So let's get started. We're going to try and do something in the style of Gaudi today. So you see lots of interesting things on the table. And one of the things, or the main part of this, is sand clay. And I'm going to show you how to make sand clay. All right? So you got to have sand, 2 cups of sand. You got to have 1 cup of cornstarch, not soda, but cornstarch, which is what mom or grandma might make gravy with at home. And then alum. And alum is a pickling spice, and we use alum because it helps to preserve it a little bit so it doesn't get moldy. So we're going to use that. And then water. So these ingredients you mix together, put them on the stove, and you have to continue to stir it. It's sort of like gravy, but it gets really, really thick. So it takes, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 minutes. I usually do it on medium-high heat, and you just keep stirring. And when it starts to kind of clump up or look like clay, then you know it's done. But you got to keep stirring it until all the liquid is gone. All right? So we're going to look at our clay too. Everybody's going to get a bag of clay, and what you need to do is kind of squish it around before you open it up, because once you open it up, it's going to break apart and crumple. So it's easiest to knead it, which is what we're doing, kneading it in the bag. All right. And once it feels pretty soft again, I made this a couple days ago, so it needs to be kneaded. Then you can take it out a little bit at a time. I'm going to leave a lot of it in there, but this is what sand clay looks like. It's pretty great. And it will dry completely hard, but you got to let it kind of sit for a few days before you move it, because if it's not completely dry, then it's going to fall apart. So we're going to start with the main part. I think I'm going to do a church too. You don't have to do a church. You can do a house or some other kind of building. But I'm going to start with the main part of my church. Now, you can do it by rolling it, making a cylinder if you want to. Maybe your church isn't a cylinder, maybe it's a square, but a cylinder is a good place to start. And we are going to be just like Gaudi. We are not going to draw any pictures. We are going to just see this in our mind, and we're going to make this great architectural piece. Okay, so you can kind of see it's a cylinder, but look what I'm doing. I'm patting it out into a rectangle. All right. So that may be the main body of my church. All right. Now this is going to be fast. You guys take your time when you do yours. I'm going to add a couple side buildings to my church. And you should have plenty of sand to build a nice big structure. Okay. I'm going to do another cylinder. I want my cylinders to be the same because, whoops, I'm going to have 2 cylinders, one on either side. This one isn't staying together very well. This one's a little bit bigger. All right. I think we got it. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right. Now every church has either a spire or a bell tower, something like that. Lots of churches do. And so I think I'm going to put a few on here. If you look at Gaudi's church, the Sagrada, it has lots of very tall spires, pointed things on the top of the spires. So I'm going to do that. I guess we didn't talk about our tools either. You can use any kind of tools, kitchen butter knives, you can use covers, you can use straws, if you have popsicle sticks, lots of things like that to help you create your beautiful piece. All right, I'm rolling it again, and I'm going to roll it into a cone for the top of my church. So I roll one end a little harder than the other, and look what happens. You got kind of a cone shape. And that will be the top of my church. When you put it together, you probably want to score it a little bit. You want to kind of rough it up so that it sticks. The other thing you can do is add a little bit of Elmer's glue, and that'll keep it together. All right. I'm going to put a couple more spires on there, a couple more. This one's drying out just a little bit, so if it gets a little dry, you can add a little water to it. Just a little though, just a fingertip of water, because you don't want it to be mushy. Okay. Almost done. There we go. Let's put, we'll put one down here. All right, we'll do one more. And then we'll go on to decorating, even though this is kind of quick. Like I said, take your time, make it beautiful. Think about what's on your church, what kind of decorations are on the outside. Maybe go past an old church. This one's very old in Spain, so. Okay, so now we want to put some doors on there. I don't know, let's see. I've brought some things that I want to decorate my church with. Since we live in Muscatine, I thought we should have some shells, or maybe some of the shells that we find when the pearl button industry was going on. Those might be a really great door. And we'll have to glue these. These are not going to stay on without the glue. So put a little tab of glue on the back of that and stick it on your church. I also have some other little shells. Maybe we want to use those for the tops of the spires on the church. I think that'll work. as a decoration. You can use buttons. You can use about anything you want at home. If you've got some little pins with beautiful pearl tops on them, you can stick those in there. I think I'm going to use marbles like Gaudi did for windows in my church. So, stained glass windows. So I think I'll start with this one. And that one you can just push that all the way in there. We'll put a couple more windows here and here. We'll use the green ones next. Okay. Now we need another side of the door, and I'm not sure here. Let's see if we can break this. Maybe we can't. We might have one big door and one small door here. That's better. It's a little big, but it'll do with a little glue. Okay, so we could do a whole lot more, but I think I'm going to turn it around a minute, and we got to add something else on the top. We should probably add some kind of another shell to the very top. And then I'm going to add some decorations to the spire. And when you see Gaudi's church, you're going to see that he's got lots of, I don't know if they're windows or if they're just decorations, but they're scored. So I'm using the end of the spoon to do that, to make these nice long windows here. And I'll show you in just a minute what it looks like. I think I suggest you use glue when you put your little spires on because they'll stay better. Do some decorations maybe with my straw. More things here. It's not too bad. Let's look at it real quick. All right. So like I said, you need to leave it sit. You probably need to build on a good sturdy plate. I started with a paper plate, not strong enough. So ask Mom if you can use one of her small plates and just let it dry on there for a few days, and then you'll be able to take it off carefully and put it maybe on a paper plate or something else. But as long as it stays in a pretty dry place, not your bathroom, maybe you want to set it on your dresser, it should last a really long time. And like I said, it won't mold as long as you let it dry. Don't cover it up with plastic or anything, because that will cause it to get moldy eventually. So anyway, I hope you love this project, and I love Gaudi. He's one of my favorite artists. So have fun, and we'll see you again.